Good morning, folks. Today we are going to factor polynomials some more. But today when we factor polynomials, what I want you to realize is today our a value, which is right here, is going to be greater than 1. Where last time a was 1, today a value is going to look much like this problem we see in the do, where I have a coefficient other than 1 as the leading term. Okay, well, let's go ahead and begin our instructional video. Let's begin by reviewing for a moment. In the previous lesson, our polynomial looked like this. Now, remember, a cannot equal 1, and our first term, our leading coefficient on our leading term was a 1, much like in the problem you see right here. Now, when we did this problem, remember, we put a 1 there and we treed this out. That was just 1 and 1. Over here, we treed this out. This become negative 3 and 6, negative 6 and 3, negative 2 and 9, negative 9 and 2. And let's see, what else do we have? Let me move this up just a little bit. We had negative 1 and 18 and negative 18 and 1. Now, we did the inside-outside check. Now, just to remember, these were the outside ones. These here were the inside ones. And I did the multiplication in order to figure out, what my term was. So we multiplied the two outside ones together, and we found the sum, and we multiplied the two inside ones together. Okay, so we multiplied the two outsides, multiplied the two inside, and added that together. Okay, and in looking at this here, it looks like my answer is going to be this one right in here. And so when I go ahead and dropped it into my binomials, remember we had a 1x, or I had an x there and an x there. I put this one right here, right there. I put that one right there, right there. Then I put this x right here, right there. I'm sorry, that's 6. And then this 3 right there, right here. And then, of course, I could distribute to double check it. And let's go ahead and check it. So that gave me an x squared plus a 3x minus a 6x minus 18, which gave me x squared minus 3x minus 18. That was what I had when I started. So it checks, and my answer is that right there. Okay, now that's what we did last class period. Today what we're going to do is my values right here won't just be 1 and 1. Now they're going to be something other than 1 and 1. Now let's point out this here real quickly. Here is, if you take a look, here's two binomials. And if I multiply those two binomials together, notice, drawing my rainbows, 3x times 2x gives us 6x squared. 3x times the 5x gives us, of course, 15x. 2 times 2x gives us plus a 4x. And then, of course, 2 times 5 gives me the 10, which is what I have right there. Now, notice the sum of these two will equal that 19x. We're going to use this idea to factor when my leading term is other than 1. Now, there's a couple ways of doing this. The first one is called just a guess and check method. And if we were to use the guess and check method, we would have something that looked like this. You would need to write down all these different possibilities, and then you would do your rainbow method here, your rainbow here, and you would see which one worked out. And of course, you would find that the first one here did not work, okay? Did not, because this was not equal to that. So what you do is then you go to the next one, and you do this one the same way. And you look to see if this gave you this. And you keep working through these. If you were to work through these, you would have a total of 12 possibilities. And eventually, you will end up with the one you need, like this one right here, that matches this. Therefore, this right here would be your solution. I'm sorry, that right there would be your factors of this. Now, guys, that is not the way to go about it. So let's take a look at a way that we should use to go about it. Now, let's keep in mind what we talked about here. Okay, we've already walked through this a little bit, but keep in mind the product of the first term and the first term here is what makes up the first term. In other words, the product of the first term of the first binomial and the first term of the second binomial make up the first term of the trinomial. Okay, then notice this. The last term of the first binomial times the last term of the second binomial makes up the last term of the trinomial. And lastly, you're going to notice that the outside terms, if you multiply those together, and the inside terms, these ones right here, and if you multiply those together, that's where the outside times outside plus inside times inside comes about. And their sum of those products is what makes your linear term. Okay, so that's the secret behind this. All right, let me show you a couple ways of doing this. The first one, we could use a chart to help it put us together. And the second way, we could do it like we did in the last video, which is probably the way some of you may just want to use. Okay, let me show this slide just to kind of reinforce. This slide here, if you could write this down in your notes, this is just to kind of reinforce what I already indicated. And notice what I said right here, okay? Notice what I said right there. Notice what I said right there. And notice what I said right there. The red are the products that make up your A. Your green are your products that make up your C. And your blue are the sum of the products that make up your B value. Okay, now this slide, I want you to copy this down in your notes. This is how we were to do it if we were to create a chart. Okay, so go ahead, pause it, get this down in your notes, and but I just want you to know, let me kind of explain this chart just a little bit here. You know, notice what I have right here. I have right here are the factors of the two. And then right here are all the different factors, combinations of the 21. Okay. Now, I'm multiplying. Notice the blue and the kind of pink here, or purple. We're going to take the products of these two right here. That's the blue ones. Goes right there. And the products of the 2 and 1. Okay, those are right there. And we're looking for the sum of those two products to give us 17. Okay, it gives us 23 on this one, so that's not it. Okay, now again, we look at this one. We're going to take 1 times 1 gives us 1. 2 times 21 gives us 42. 42 and 1 is 43. Nope, that's not it, so scratch it out. And we're going to continue down to trying all these methods until we get to the last one where I have 1 times 3 and 2 times 7. 1 times 3, 2 times 7, and that sum equals 17. Eureka! There we found it. That's it. So that means we're going to take these factors. Notice the 1 goes here, and the 2 goes here. Okay? The 7 goes there, and the 3 goes there. And then, of course, we can check it, and notice it checks out. So there's our answer. Now, that's one way of doing it using a T-chart. All right, now, let's go look at the other method, which is like the one that I showed you last class period. Now, just to let you know, whichever method you like best, you may use. So feel free. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this one. Okay, so I'm going to take this 6, and it's going to be 2 times 3, 3 times 2, 1 times 6, 6 times 1. Over here, 1 times 3, 3 times 1. Now, we're going to do the inside-outside check, just like I had indicated. These are your outsides. These are your insides. If you would like to make a chart out of it, you may draw something right along there. And go like that. Okay, and then we're going to multiply. Okay, so I have the 2 times the 3, which is 6. I have 3 times 1, which is 3. I'm adding them together, and I'm looking for 11. Is that 11? No, not it. Okay, so now we keep looking. Now I'm going to go 2 times 1, and in your head, let's just keep track of these. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 plus 9 is 11. What do I have right there? 11. So that means that this set right there is what I'm looking for. So my final answer. Okay, now that's what it's always going to look like right there. Notice this x squared. I put it an x there and an x there. Remember, this is your first term of your trinomial. This is your first term of the binomial. And this is your first term of the binomial. This is your last term right there. Therefore, this here is your last term of that binomial, and this is your last term of the binomial. So you're going to match up the f's, and you match up the l's. Okay, so let's put things in place. Remember, this 2 goes right there. This 3 goes right there. Has to be in that order. All right, and this 3 is going to go right there, and it's a plus 3. And this 1 is going to go right there, and it's a plus 1. How do you know it's a plus 1? Because what are the factors of 3? Well, positive 3 times positive 1. Remember, you look at this sign determines that you're going to look at that sign, and that sign is a plus. That means both of these are plus. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this problem. We do need to check it. So, let's see here. 2x times a 3x is a 6x to the second. 2x times 1 is plus a 2x. 3x times 3x is plus a 9x. 3 times 1 is plus a 3, which leaves me 2. 6x to the second plus 11x plus a 3. That is what I originally started with. So my answer is right here. Those are my factor combinations of this trinomial. Okay, here's another one. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, first of all, notice this is a plus. So I'm looking right there. That's the sign of what these are going to be. Okay, all right, so let's start out with this one. So 1 times 3, 3 times 1, factors of 16. How about negative 4 times negative 4? Negative 2 times negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 2. Negative 1 times negative 16. Negative 16 times negative 1. All right, let's start the outside-inside check. This time I am not going to do the little chart there. But if you want to, you're welcome to do it. I'm going to just list it out here, and I'm going to put my finger on the outside column, and then on the inside column, and then I'm going to kind of work down through. Okay, so first of all, we have 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. I have 3 times negative 12 is negative 12. Now, negative 4 plus a negative 12 is negative 16. Okay, what's that number? Negative 16. Guess what, guys? We got it on the first try. Okay, so let's go ahead. Go like this. We're going to put our x there and our x there. I'm going to take this one right here, right there. I'm going to put it right there. Take that 3, put it right there. Okay, so I have 1 and 3. I'm going to put, now notice this, it's at negative 4. So I'm going to put that negative 4 right there, minus 4. Okay, I'm going to take this negative 4, put it right there, minus 4. Okay, now, do I have it? Well, let's check it and see. So if I multiply through, you have 1x times 3x is 3x to the second. 1x times negative 4 is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 3x is negative 12x. And negative 4 times negative 4 is a plus 16. And that final answer, let me squeeze it in right here, 3x to the second minus a 16x plus a 16. Look up there, is that what we had? It is, it checks, and that means this is my answer, meaning these right here are the factors of that trinomial. All right, folks, let's go ahead and try one where I notice my constant term is a negative. All right, so first things first. Let's tree this out here. So the factors of 3 are 1 times 3 and 3 times 1. Now, what are the factors of negative 4? Now, remember, we're going to put the negative on this side. So the factors of negative 4 are negative 2 times a positive 2, negative 1 times a positive 4, negative 4 times a positive 1. All right, now let's do our inside-outside check here. So 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. So 2 minus 6, negative 4. What am I looking for? Yeah, right there, 11. That's not it. Okay, so let's go down and look at another one. How about 1 times 4, it's just 4. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. Okay, that's not it. Okay, let's go down. Let's try this one and this one over here. So 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. 1 minus 12 is negative 11. Ooh, close. I just need a positive 11. Now, when that happens, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of using this factor and this factor, which give me a negative 11, I'm going to drop down and I'm going to use the same two factors, just the other direction. So 3 times 1 and then negative 1 times 4 right there. Okay, so let's check that one out. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. So 12 minus 1 is 11. And now I have it. Okay, so let's go ahead and circle that. So there's the one that works. Okay, let's go ahead and put my parentheses there. Okay, so I'm going to say 3x, a 1x, minus 1, plus 4. I want you to notice this. This 3 goes in the first binomial. This 1 goes in the first part of the second binomial. This negative 1 goes in the last part of the first binomial. The 4 goes in the last part of the second binomial. And notice where the negative went. Okay, negative 1. All right, so let's go ahead and check this, see how it comes out. So 3x times 1x is 3x to the second. 3x times 4 gives us plus 12x. Negative 1 times 3 gives us minus 1x. Negative 1 times 4 gives you minus 4. We're going to add my like terms, so that gives us 3x to the second plus 11x minus 4. I compare this. Is that the same as what I see up there? It is. So it checks, and that means this is my answer. Those are my factor combinations of this trinomial. All right, now I want you to notice on this one. Here, my constant is negative, and my linear term is negative. Now remember, if your constant is negative, it doesn't matter what the linear term is. Because if the constant is negative, then what's it going to be? Well, if you said it's going to be minus plus, you are correct. So the negative is always on that side. Okay, so let's start factoring out my quadratic term. So it's going to be 2 times 2, 1 times 4, 4 times 1. Over here, negative 2 times positive 2, negative 1 times a positive 4, negative 4 times a positive 1. Now, we're going to use a little creative thinking here. Notice I need to come up with negative 15. Sometimes I can look at this and I can ask myself, I need to get really close to negative 15. So what factors could possibly give me that? Well, look over here. The bigger factors. I see a 4. If I look over here, I see another 4. Okay, so I know that it's probably going to deal, because 4 times 4 is 16, and that's pretty close to 15. So let's try that one first. So 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. 16 minus 1 is positive 15. Really close. So let's use the technique I showed you last problem, and let's, instead of going 4 and 1, let's go 1 and 4, and instead of going negative 1 and 4, let's go negative 4 and 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. So 1 plus a negative 16 is what? Negative 15. Yes, that's what I wanted. So that means these are my factor combinations right there. All right, so let's go ahead and write that in there. Set this thing up. All right, so I'm going to put the 1 there, the 4 there, this minus 4 there, the plus 1 there. Now let's check it. Okay, so 4x to the second plus x minus 16x minus 4, 4x to the second minus 15x minus a 4. I look at it, it's the same, it checks. Voila, my factors of that trinomial. Now, sometimes we are going to come up with a special situation where we need to manipulate the trinomial just a little bit. Now, what I'm talking about is sometimes when the leading coefficient is negative, we first need to factor out the negative 1 from each, that is the key term, from each of the terms before factoring the trinomial. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to see here in our next problem. Okay, so take a look at this problem here, and notice here I have a negative in front of that leading term. Okay, so I need to factor out that negative first, so I'm going to factor out a negative 1. Now inside the parentheses, I'm going to change all of my signs to the opposite sign. Now it turns out all three of them here are negative. So this one's going to go to a positive, this one's going to go to a positive, this one's going to go to a positive. So I have 2x to the second plus a 5x plus a 3. All right, now I'm going to factor it as normal. So 2 times 1, 1 times 2. Over here, there it's a positive 3, so it's going to be 1 times 3, 3 times 1. We're going to do our inside-outside check. So let's see, I take 2 times 3 is 6, 1 times 1 is 1, 6 plus 1 is 7. I'm looking for a 5, that's not it. Okay, 2 times 1 is 2, 1 times 3 is 3, so 2 plus 3 is 5. That's it. Okay, so let's go ahead and circle that. Now, I'm going to bring this negative 1 down. I'm going to put my factor combinations in my parentheses here. This is going to be an x there and an x there. I'm going to remember to put this 2 right there, that 1 right there. So it's going to be 2, 1. And then I'm going to put that 3 right there, this 1 right there. So that's going to give us plus a 3 and plus a 1. Now, let's check it. So 2x times 1x is 2x to the second. 2x times 1 is plus a 2x. 3 times 1 is plus a 3x. 3 times 1 is plus a 3. I'm going to bring down this negative 1. We add like terms. That gives us 2x to the second plus a 5x plus a 3. I'm now going to distribute my negative 1 inside of each of these. So that gives me negative 2x to the second minus a 5x minus a 3. I compare that with what I had up here. It's the same. So this is my answer. Those are my factors of this trinomial. All right, folks, that's a wrap for today. Here's the problem set that you are going to be working on right there. If you want to get started on this, get a jump on this assignment prior to coming to class, there it is. So you can go ahead and start doing a few of those. And guys, I will say so long, farewell, and see you in class.